To understand today's discussion, we need to first be clear about the impossibility of knowing the energy as well as the object. So, if you want to know an object, then we need to use some sort of energy which we need to throw upon it, and that will be the standard procedure of how one tries to know what an object is. And during that process, what will be happening is the energy and the object will interact with each other, and that will produce action or behavior or the response from the object. So this is to know an object. If we want to know if a form of energy, then also we need to use an object as the detector, and there will be the same phenomenon happening, the action or the behavior or the response from the energy when it will interact with the detector, which is an object, of course. So what we see here is that we cannot know either an object or the energy. It's impossible to know because the moment we try to know any of it, the other will interact with it, and the consequence will be the formation of an action, which is in turn the response or the behavior. And we will only know the response or the behavior, not the actual object or the actual energy. Okay, so this has to be very, very clear. Then we can discuss further. So let's go. So our sense organs, the the five sense organs that we have are the organ of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. And using those sense organs, what we perceive are the color, the sound, the touch, the taste, and the smell. So these are the things that we actually perceive by our sense organs, and how they are actually form. I mean, what is the reason for the color or the sound or the touch, taste, and smell? The reason are the actions resulting when the object interacts with the energy. What object? The object that we want to see, the object that we want to touch, taste, or smell, or maybe the object that we want to listen, maybe a music or something else. So the object has to interact with some sort of energy, and while interacting with the energy, it will produce an action, and that action we are perceiving as either color or sound or touch, taste, and smell. So in case of color, the actions that basically happen are the absorption and emission of the light when the light hits the surface of any object, or the diffraction or reflection or scattering, etc. And these are the actions, definitely. And the cause is the energy which is interacting with the object, and that is called as light. The same phenomena is happening in case of sound. The vibration of the medium takes place to produce sound. That is obviously an action, and the medium has to be either air or liquid or solid. And we know that the wave of the sound passes through all three medium. So these are basically the actions, and the energy responsible for those actions. Some of them are kinetic energy, potential energy, etc. So these energies basically helps to produce a vibration in the medium by helping the collision between two objects or more than two objects, and that will create the sound. Uh, for touch, there are multiple actions can be responsible. So to name few, for example, the hot or coldness of a surface that we are touching with our skin, and also the feeling of repulsion when we are touching any object. And for hot or coldness, it's clear that the thermal energy is responsible. For the repulsion, is it's basically the repulsive interaction between the electronic clouds of our skin molecules and the surface molecules of the object that we want to touch. So these are some examples of actions that we can feel as a touch sensations, and the energy responsible for these actions are thermal energy or electromagnetic energy, etc. For taste, the solvation of the chemical responsible for producing a particular taste in the water medium has to be possible in order to make the solid soluble in the saliva. That is mostly the saliva consists of water. So the solid has to be soluble in the water, because after solubilization, the molecules will be able to pass through the pores of the tongue, and the taste will be sensed by our sense of taste, the organ of taste. And the solvation is dependent on the solvation energy. Solvation energy is responsible for the solvation of chemicals. So this is basically a form of thermal energy. So it can be exothermic or endothermic to during the solubilization of the chemical in the water or the saliva. And also the smell is basically responsible due the smell is basically producing through the volatility of a particular compound, chemical compound, definitely. So that also in turn depends on the thermal energy. So the thermal energy basically heats up the object, and that object has to be some chemical species that has the smell sensation, and while volatile it will come closer to our nose and we will feel the smell. So this is a chart that is very helpful in order to summarize the different characteristics that we can perceive by our five sense organs, and the actions that are responsible for those sensations, and also the energy which are responsible for those actions to take place. So anything that we observe is basically due to the action. In other words, it's the action that we are observing through our sense organs, right? And all actions are the interaction between a form of energy with a form of object, and only the actions can be observed, neither the energy nor the object, right? It has to be very, very clear. This is the fact. There is no assumption, no belief, or nothing is going on. It's pure fact. Okay. So action can be only known. It cannot be the knower. Our sense organs perceive the actions. The sense organs cannot be the action itself, right? So in this slide, what we are gonna see is that the organs, like the body parts, the eyes that we call as the sense organ for seeing, we are gonna see that these eyes itself, they are object, and they interact with the light during the seeing process of an object, and they undergo actions. So they cannot be the sense organ. The sense organ has to be something else that we will see later. But right now, we will just see that the the thing that we believed so far is actually not true. So let's consider seeing an apple. So these are the things that is going on while seeing an apple. So let's go step by step. So this is the apple, and the light has to fall upon the surface of the apple, and the surface molecules will absorb some portion of the light, and it will reflect some portion of the light. And while absorption will take place, the molecule will go to the higher energy state. The electrons will go to the higher energy molecular orbital. They will come back again due to the relaxation. They will emit some form of energy, that is also light for sure. So these sorts of things will happen on the surface of the apple, and all those light after the absorption followed by emission or the reflection will take place on the surface of the apple. Those light will be coming to our eyes, right? So the first step is the light is hitting on the surface of the apple, producing some actions here. So these are all actions, and after the action they will again generate some form of light. So this light that is emitting from the surface of the apple and this light, they are not same anymore, because they has to be different, because some part of the energy is getting utilized in during this action, and they will be converted into different forms of energies like heat, and also there will be some sort of electrical energy transformation, etc. So it won't be the same light anymore. And also after this light is getting out from the surface of the apple, they will enter in the eyes of us. And while it hits the eyes, so we all know that these eyes or all the body parts are basically the organic molecules. And definitely all molecules consists of atoms. So in the atomic level, we know that the nucleus of the atoms and also the electronic cloud surrounding it, they are all in motion. They are in continuous motion, and whatever moves or in motion, it means they are doing some sort of actions, right? So what we call as eyes or nerves or brain, etc., they are already organic molecules, and those molecules are itself action. We can say that they are molecules because we perceive them as action while detecting them through spectroscopy, through any sorts of experimentation. Whenever we say that a particular cell is formed of this chemical, this, that, how do you know that? To know anything, we need to objectify something. We need to objectify during the process of knowing, and what we see or what we know is the action or the response of the action that we do. It's basically the reaction that we get out of those objects. So they are all actions. So whenever this light will go into the eyes, and it will pass the eye, then it will enter the nerve, then it will go to the brain, which mostly is the nerves anyway. So there will be actions immediately. All those cells will be energized, they will do all sorts of things, and again they will produce these actions, like the same action that happened on the surface of this apple. So there will be absorption followed by emission, there will be reflection as well, little bit, and also there will be uh, transformation of the light into heat or electrical energies. So it will transform mostly into the other energies, and also there will be some absorption followed by emission, reflection, etc. Okay, so the same phenomena which is happening on the surface of the apple will take place in our eyes, in our nerves, inside our brain. So it's action throughout. Then how can I call that the eyes are the the knower, or the nerves are the knower, or the brain is the knower? The whole body is composed of actions, because the whole body is action. The atoms, their constituent parts, the electron, proton, neutron, if you break it further, the quarks, it's action. And if anything is action, it can be the knower. The knower has to be different than the action. This is plain fact. You have to accept it. You can oppose me, you can say whatever you want, but this is the hard fact. Okay. So all the body parts are actions and they will produce further actions while interacting with the light. It is just what we have discussed so far. And also the knower cannot be the action itself. Okay. Yeah, just the same thing that we discussed in the previous slide. Let us discuss once again. So the whole physical body is undergoing actions due to all sorts of energy. So there is chemical, mechanical, all sorts of actions are going on. We are walking, speaking, seeing, and also inside the cells, the metabolism is going on. There is photochemical reaction is also going on in the skin. The vitamin D is getting produced, right? So all these things are going on inside our body, inside our cells. So everything is action. Action means the interaction between energy and the object. That's it. You try to know what an object is, you have to throw the energy. The moment you throw the energy, it will produce an action, and it is the action that we see. We cannot know what is the energy is, and we can never know what an object is. We can only see the action or perceive the action, either by our sense organs or by any instrument, sophisticated instruments. That's it. So the whole body is action. And also there is not a single place where the action is not happening. Any interaction of energy with an object will produce action. The same thing that we just discussed so far. This is basically a summary of the things that we discussed so far. So it will help you to be organized while we are discussing. And also the action cannot know itself. Whatever we can know is only action outside our body. I mean, the objective world that we see or perceive through our sense organs. Anything that we perceive, it's basically actions. Those actions are throwing the energy to us. We are perceiving those energies. They also producing actions inside our body. So our body cannot know. It is a instrument. It is an instrument which helps us to interact with the surrounding. So we can gather or we can create knowledge. Knowledge is nothing but the information that we produce while interacting with the surrounding universe. And the sole purpose of this interaction or the creation of anything is to know who we are. There cannot be any other motive for all these things. And this is the most important thing right now that we should discuss this. And if you are from a scientific background, this will be very clear to you in the first discussion. Yeah, I will try to make it much more easier for all the audiences. So let me know whether you understood it or I need to do any sort of modification to make it more understandable. And again, the fifth point is the action is basically behavior, sorry, or communication while interacting with, while the interaction is taking place between the energy and the object. It's like, let's say I'm having a discussion with you. If I ask something, you will respond to me. It's the same thing. While we want to know any object, we are not speaking to it. We are throwing some energy, and it sends us back some energy, and they the object will interact with the energy to create an action. It will, after the action, it will throw me the or throw you or whoever is trying to know that object. The energy will come to our body in skin or in the eye or in the ear, and it will interact because our whole body is an object. And after interacting, it will produce an action. So action is communicating with action. So our body cannot be the knower. The knower is something else, and we need to dig deep to know who the knower is. Okay, I'm gonna make more videos on this sort of topic to make it more clear. For right now, just try to understand this. Pause the video, look the points, and try to think by yourself. Make the points clear. Make this discussion clear. It will be really, really helpful for you. Okay, so hence it cannot be the knower. It means the eyes or the brain or the nerves, whatever you name it, they cannot be the knower. So this is just for the seeing action. For listening, for touching, smelling, tasting, everything will be the same phenomena. Actions cannot know themselves. The knower has to be different. And then comes the consciousness aspect, which is really beautiful thing. So we need to discuss them slowly. Okay.